2 days after the Ballymurphy inquest findings and amid mounting pressure, the Prime Minister has apologised directly to the families of those killed by the army in 1971. But he didn't stand up in the Commons and say it. That was left to the Northern Ireland Secretary, Brandon Lewis.
Instead, the apology came in a letter delivered to the families. And if it was an attempt to undo all the hurt that has been caused over how the government has handled this, the families say it has failed miserably. Our correspondent, Sharon O'Neill, has this report.
Those who died of that terrible period were innocent of any wrongdoing. The events of Ballymurphy should never have happened. You've never had to experience such grief and loss of your loved ones and such distress.
In his hand, a letter from the Prime Minister.
The duty of the state is to hold itself to the highest standards.
And for what the families have gone through since, you began your brave and dignified campaign almost 5 decades ago. I am truly sorry. There's no mention about Paris. There's no mention of accountability. There's nothing in the letter that to console the families, in my eyes.
The government's acknowledgement of the terrible hurt that has been caused to the families of Francis Quinn, Father Hugh Mullen, Noel Phillips, Joan Connolly, Daniel Teggett, Joseph Murphy, Edward Doxey.
Earlier, the Secretary of State said this in London.
The events at Ballymurphy should never have happened. The families of those who were killed should never have had to experience the grief and trauma of that loss. There is no doubt that what happened on those awful few days in Ballymurphy also fueled further violence and escalation, particularly in the early years of the Troubles. The government profoundly regrets and is truly sorry for these events.
But the wrong man was doing all the talking.
The vast majority of those who served in Northern Ireland did so with great dignity and professionalism. But it is clear that in some cases, the security forces and the army made terrible errors too. The duty of the state is to hold itself to the high standards at all times. When we fail to meet these high standards, we must recognise the hurt and the agony caused.
Families may now have heard that word sorry, albeit made by the Secretary of State in the House of Commons. But it's how the government has handled its response to the outcome of the Ballymurphy inquest that has caused so much hurt to those who have already been through so much. And the Prime Minister's apology, not directly to the relatives, has added to their angst. This latest attempt to diffuse the situation, that personal letter from the Prime Minister, also falling way short.
It just gutted me, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, I feel very upset because I just feel that 50 years we have waited for this day, and for them as again to treat us like second-class citizens. Why could Boris not do it? Why could he not? Not that personally for me, it won't make any difference. It won't bring my mummy back. But at the same time, at least you would have felt that you were being respected, or she was being respected.
Now clear, it will take much more than a letter from the Prime Minister to right this wrong. Sharon O'Neill, UTV Live.
So the Prime Minister is facing heavy criticism for not delivering the apology in public himself, not only from the Ballymurphy families, but also from some politicians. MPs have questioned why he was not in the House of Commons earlier and why he has not met in person the relatives of those killed.
Our political correspondent, Vicky Hawthorne, reports.
Walking with the families of those killed in Ballymurphy this afternoon. Sinn Féin support for the relatives has been unwavering over the years. There was little surprise then that the party president was critical of how the government's apology was delivered to families this morning.
I believe the respectful thing is not to write them a letter through their solicitor to offer them up a half-baked second-hand apology. I believe the dignified thing is to recognise these families, meet with these families, and to provide a fulsome public apology.
From the streets of West Belfast to Westminster, the anger over what happened in Ballymurphy 50 years ago was the same, with repeated questions asking why the Prime Minister wasn't in the House of Commons himself.
Joan Connolly was a mother of 8. She was shot by the British Army 4 times. She was left lying on the ground for hours to die. That is not an error. That is sheer bloody murder. Will the Secretary of State ask the Prime Minister to come out of hiding, come with me, meet the Ballymurphy families and tell them to their faces why he wants to protect their killers?
Where is the Prime Minister today, and why has he not publicly apologised to the Ballymurphy families and to this House? Will he take responsibility as Prime Minister and show the victims the respect they so obviously deserve?
The government has indicated that it wants to move to deal with the past with